Viewer discretion is advised.
Let me tell you, it's unfortunately a fact of urban life today. You can't walk a block in any major city without being accosted by a virtual army of beggars and panhandlers. Some of us toss them a quarter and really feel like we've been generous, right? And we scurry away. Most just walk by without seeing a damn thing. Well, tonight, we've gone out into the cities, and we brought the beggars here. The people we always see but never hear. Damn it, they deserve to be heard when you got guys like Koch who say they shouldn't be around. Join us while we join them. Everyone, let me introduce the players, all right? At home base with us tonight, we've got Michael Murmur, who is a New York City attorney, who obviously doesn't have a heart murmur, or he wouldn't be here. We've got Michelle. Michelle is a panhandler. And at Loudmouth number 1, we have Joe Rogers, who's with the Project Share out of Phil. All right? Former New York street person himself. All right. Let me start off with Michelle. Aside from the fact that you're probably, a little surprised to be sitting in a TV studio instead of maybe hanging around the Port Authority today, how is it that you've come to panhandling as your path, and how do you feel about your situation?
Well, I panhandle to keep from stealing, I'd rather beg for change than to go out here and rob and steal and get it.
As a panhandler, do you get robbed yourself?
Oh, yes. It's
How
happened. Maybe, about once every 2 weeks.
By other panhandlers?
That's right.
So do you rob other panhandlers, too?
No.
How about the fact you look pregnant to me?
Yeah.
Are you? Your husband on the street with you?
Yeah.
Is he your husband?
Husband.
Boyfriend on the street with you?
Yeah.
Is he a steady boyfriend?
Somewhat.
Okay. Any other children?
Yeah, I have one child in South Carolina.
Well, what's that youngster doing down South Carolina?
Going to school.
Pardon me?
Going to school.
Going to school? Do you send money down there for him to go to school?
No.
Well,
my sister takes care of it.
If that child was up here with you, wouldn't you be...
I would be in one of the city hotels.
You would be? Did you
yeah.
have this child with you at one time or another?
Yes, right in the Holland Hotel, right in the same area I panhandle in. But the hotel situation for the homeless is very pitiful.
When you say pitiful...
So, it's pitiful.
Okay.
It's pitiful.
Let me ask you, most Americans, the Port Authority is the busiest bus terminal in the country.
Right.
To you, it's home. What's life like there in the Port Authority?
It's not easy.
Well, when you say it's not, obviously it's not easy, but I mean, you don't sleep in a vending machine. What's it like?
Nah, you can't handle enough money to stay in hotels in different places.
Some panhandlers have enough money to stay in hotels?
Yeah. Because if you
Like
stay
what kind
around
of
the Port Authority, you're going to jail.
Have you been arrested?
For sleeping. Not for sleeping.
What
I've been
have you
arrested for panhandling.
For panhandling?
That's right.
What do they do when they arrest you for panhandling?
You go through the system and you come out.
What's the system mean?
You go to jail, then you go to central booking, you go to the courthouse to see the judge, and it's time served, and you're back out on the street.
How much time is there to serve?
2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days. This entire project costs the New York City taxpayer approximately $300 per panhandle, per arrest. There were 85,000 arrests last year of panhandlers, Mr. Mayor. That's $2,450,000 from the taxpayers. Of the approximately 50,000 homeless or panhandlers in New York City, that's approximately $4,900 per person. How many of us in here pay less than $4,900 a year for our rent? Can I see a show of hands? Huh? Quite a lot, right? Quite a lot. So indeed, if we took this money, well, Michael Murmur, let me ask you a question. Last time you were on this show, we had some of the squeegee guys who clean the windows, all right? You accused them of being criminals. Do you consider beggars and panhandlers criminals as well?
Absolutely. I have no sympathy for these people.
Why?
Mort,
Why?
Mort, people are fed up. People are fed up with looking at these people on the streets being accosted at every single corner.
Why
If you're
are they standing in front of your yuppie bar, sweetheart?
Mort, if I gave every one of these panhandlers $1, I would be the one that would be on the unemployment line. And
How many panhandlers? Let me ask you a question. How many panhandlers? Looks like Gunsmoke, Festus. How many panhandlers have you ever laid any bucks into their hand?
very few.
What's very few mean? Your mother, your father, who?
No, very few. Occasionally.
10?
10, 20.
What makes you want to give them money?
If I hear a good story from them.
So if someone comes up and gives you a good story,
A unique story, something I haven't heard
like unique,
before.
tell me a unique story that you've heard. If you've only given it 10 or 20, you must remember one of those unique stories.
I recall a fellow telling me he was a Vietnam veteran, and he displayed some obvious scars that were on his chest, and he had some tattoos. And,
Where were they?
Pardon?
Where were they?
They were on his chest and his arms, and I felt sorry for this
Took
particular...
off his shirt to show his scars.
Yeah.
How many scars was below his pants?
I didn't look.
So, after you saw the wounds, you decided he was worth something. How much did you give him?
I gave him $5.
$5. $5.
Mort,
Not bad for some shrapnel.
Mort,
huh?
the problem is, you've got a big problem in distinguishing between the legitimate person who needs the money and then the true swindler who's out there on the street for the sole purpose of panhandling and who does not need the money, who could otherwise be working.
Is that right, Michelle? Is that right, Michelle? Are there some swindlers and con men out there?
Yeah, there are some.
What percentage of you guys are swindlers and con men?
Maybe 10%.
Maybe 10%. You're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. You don't disagree with that?
I would totally disagree.
Well,
with
you're
that.
a lawyer. How many of your ilk are swindlers and con men? Would you accept 10% there? 10%? Well, we had to give some thought to it. Probably would. Joe Rogers, you run a project in Philadelphia for mentally ill and homeless people. Now, are these people criminals or scavengers or simply the people that some of the yuppie generation left behind?
The greatest percentage of people that are on the streets are people that are just trying to survive and get by, that they've either been burned out of their house or kicked out of a house, against their will. And they're just really trying to, or dumped from institutions where the government no longer wants to run these institutions, so they just dump people in the streets. And so a great percentage of people are just trying to get by. If you really think about panhandling, it's really if it's not the oldest profession, I think there's one already claiming that, it's one of the second oldest profession. And what's the difference between a panhandler and the Santa Claus for the Salvation Army? I mean, in some ways, it's the most American...
Let me introduce a couple of gentlemen who've joined us at home base. A couple of panhandlers by the name of David and John. Who's David? Who's John?
David.
David, John. Red Sox fan?
No.
The hell you wearing a hat for? Huh?
I was thinking about going to Boston, so...
No, that's good for the... Okay. Let me ask Joe Rogers. Joe, you left home at the age of 13, I believe. Ended up in New York City, eventually down and out. Tell me your story and how you survived, will you?
Well, I ended up at 13, most of my parents had died, and I ended up at 13 being a farm worker and migrant worker, picking fruit. And a friend of mine said to come to New York City when I was about by the age of 19. I said, come to New York.
What about this gentleman here?
Not a dime.
What about this gentleman here? Sir, you. What do? You work the same bit, right? How'd you end up in the street?
Well, I lost my job in my apartment due to friends in Florida, and I took everything I had, and then somebody said, well, I had a friend up here that said, you know, go to New York, and, you know, I'm driving up, so we drove up, and he took off with my wallet in his van. Stranded me. Believe it or not, it's
one of the
true.
most heartbreaking stories I've ever heard. How were you able to survive? How long ago that happened?
I've been here about 9 months.
9 months.
2 years.
Okay. How have you been able to survive? How you surviving on this? You instantly went out on the street, I assume, and said to someone, you need to get back to Florida?
At first, I was just living, you know, I wouldn't asking nobody. Mm-hmm. And then I saw people asking for money to get on the subway, and I saw them getting tokens from people and going and cash them in. So I said, well, I'll try, you know. So I said, can you help me out with 75 cents so I get on the subway, you know? I'm trying to get home to Queens. So I was doing that. And then another homeless person came up to me and says, man, you can make a killing. You're white, you know, go to Grand Central.
Is
I'll
it
take you to
easier
Grand
for the
Central.
whites to...
Yeah.
How many times you been arrested?
About 4 times.
4 times?
12.
What do they do to you when they arrested you? 12? What do they do to you when you're arrested? Obviously can't find you.
Go through the system.
What's the system mean?
Just
Down, fingerprinted,
fingerprinting,
mugged,
take down to central booking, go
cuff
in
you?
front of the judge, and after, usually it's about 2 or 3 days. Sometimes, you know, it's like you can get some sleep, you know.
Living again, panhandling off the public.
So you get 2 or 3 days sleep
Yeah.
before you go
And
before
food.
the judge.
Right.
Wait a second. What's the judge do when you go before him?
He sort of tries to hurry you out because it's really not worth his time. So it's basically just out the door. They say two for the door is basically what they do.
2 for the door?
Yep.
Meaning you don't get any actual jail time after that?
No.
Time, sir.
3 days. Time
You've already spent 2 or 3 days in jail waiting to go before the judge.
Right.
In an already crowded system that needs to be considering itself taking after the criminals, right? But are you guys criminals?
No, actually,
You work,
I think
you
anybody
work,
that lies to
I
somebody to
spend
get
about
money
12,
is clearly a criminal.
maybe 12 hours, maybe sometimes 24 hours a day in the different bus stations. And I'm not a criminal. I never put my hand. I never put.
He's a criminal in this state and most states.
I never put my hand
Wait a
in
second, let me
anybody's
hear these
pocket.
gentlemen. I'm going to come to you, sir, all right? I want to hear this.
I never put my hand in anybody's pocket and take their money. The money I get is from that people hand me money. If someone gives me a $10 bill,
Do you read them a dialogue of deceit the same as the Jimmy Swaggarts and the Bakers did and get the money that way? In other words, you tell them, I came in for a job interview. I got to get back to Philadelphia. Do you have to get back to Philadelphia? No, right?
No.
Thank you. Do you have to get back to Boston?
I'm not going to Boston.
Where you going? Where you going?
I go to... Well,
Can I say
Where you
there's
heading
different
for?
places.
Yeah, in a minute.
There's different places. There's
Where you heading for this time?
Trenton, Philadelphia, Stanford.
Hell, man, you've been here 9 months. You could have crawled to Trenton in that amount of time. Huh?
I look at it this way. If I was taking from the people, I'd be taking more than they're giving. I'm asking. I'm not robbing them. If I was, how would you like me to come to your house while you're at work someday and you come home and your house is cleaned out? At least I'm asking you.
and I know, I see the criminals every day.
I do work when I can.
I see the criminals. I go down to
Temporary
the station.
services?
I see the criminals. They stand outside by the off-duty taxi cabs, and the people come out from like Timbuktu somewhere, and they don't have the slightest idea where they're going or whatever. And some guy standing in front of a cab that says off-duty on it. They say, "Where are you going? Brooklyn, Bronx." "Yeah, I'm going to the Bronx." Okay. And the guy standing there says, "I need the money up front because a lot of people are getting out of the cabs without paying." And some person from the Midwest or whatever gives the guy $40, and the guy takes off down the street. That's a criminal. I don't do that stuff.
Let me ask
That's a
Clifford
criminal.
Van.
Both lies.
Let me
Both
ask
lies.
Clifford Van Side. Clifford, you used to be a panhandler.
That's true.
All right.
The same period as
You have
my...
a very different version of, all right, of what it's like to be a panhandler. because prior to becoming a lawyer, which is another version of panhandler,
Now I ask for $100,000, I might get it. Back then, they'd laugh at me.
have you paid off your student loan yet in Simmons?
Yes, matter of fact.
Wonder how many lawyers have, all right?
Every penny.
What is your impression of a panhandler?
Well, to me, a panhandler is somebody that has a legitimate need for money and asks and explains the truth, not somebody that lies and basically tricks somebody into supporting a lifestyle of laziness. These are not in the same boat as the people I knew back in the '72 period where we needed money. We were stranded. At the time, I had the long hair. Nobody would hire a hippie, so to speak. And if it wasn't for people's generosity, I never got to the point of crossing the line, but I was darn close to the line of starvation.
Here we've got a young lady who has a legitimate reason, all right? Here we have, and a legitimate reason also because society is so hypocritical, all right? You have a baby, you can sleep in the shelter. You don't have a baby, out you go. Send the baby off someplace. She got to go out. Now she's pregnant again, all right? Same thing's going to happen. It's the same cycle, same crap, same poor of all of us pay for it because our mayor is such a moron, all right? And here we got a couple of con artists. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this pretty boy here, all right? This ugly one here, all right? They're partners. They earn $200 a day, all right? They sleep, as they'll tell you, in the best hotel.
So what they do,
Not the best.
You ever heard of the Fulton?
Fulton, no, I haven't had the good fortune.
People like this are actually hurting the people who may need the money, and actually they're the ones who create the impression Mr. Murmur has. All panhandlers aren't crooks, they aren't all thieves, just like all lawyers aren't thieves.
That's right.
We're not. I sue lawyers, believe me.
Mr. Murmur, go ahead.
These two gentlemen look fairly healthy. I don't understand why they can't get a job like everyone else.
Why can't you, guys?
I work when I can. Let me tell you something. I got 2 years of plumbing experience.
You got 2 years of plumbing experience?
From my father's company. Mm-hmm. And up here, it's all
you
union.
get stuck in jail and someone else will take care of your plumbing.
No. Hey, wait.
Neither you guys male prostitutes.
And it's not what you know, it's who you know to get in the union up here. It's who's ass you kiss.
Who's ass you kiss to get in the union.
That's right.
That's right. I'm a certified welder.
You're what?
I'm a certified welder.
Uh-huh.
I'm also a certified safety man in the state of Virginia.
All right. Why don't you go get a job?
I've been to a lot of the construction sites around here. I've asked a lot of different stores and whatnot. I used to work for the Marriott Hotel for about 3 years, okay? I was in a management training program, all right? I've been to college.
That's the last time I stayed at Marriott.
All right?
Mort, I bought a present for these two fellas. These are the help wanted sections.
I got 2 at home.
Now,
I'll tell you what.
a lot of jobs.
Next we'll hear from a man who says the solution is to forcibly relocate the panhandlers and beggars to suburbia. We'll try that one. Come on.
I support that proposal that the gentleman, telephone caller had.
And because the suburbanites are too smart to give them any money. Only people who live in the big cities are dumb enough to give people money who just walk up to them.
One of the things we do in Project Share is we go out. The rightness or wrongness of these two fellows' situation, I'm not really prepared to debate. I don't know them. But we go out and we work with people on the street, and we're trying to break that cycle of homelessness. And it really becomes kind of a way of life, almost a lifestyle.
Well, it is a lifestyle.
Yeah, and in this country, it's sort of becoming almost an acceptable lifestyle.
And for some people, it's an unwanted lifestyle, all right?
A lot of people don't like
who come to New York who are in a job, who get bounced from their job, all of a sudden lose their apartment, can't afford to make the first, last, and month security in an apartment. They're out on the street.
Whether these fellows are on drugs or not, we're looking at trying to get programs that are trying to rehabilitate people, get them off drugs. I think a lot of people...
Would you help these guys?
Sure, we'd give them a job.
Would you guys accept help from him?
We'd work with him.
He's in Philadelphia. Wait a second. He's in Philadelphia. Would you mind going to Philadelphia to accept help from him?
We have a program.
Would you?
place they can
Would
live.
you?
He's already got the schedule.
Would you? He said yes. Would you? Would you accept help from him that would get you on your feet, make you a productive citizen? Would you accept that kind of help?
I can get a job. I can get a job in a whole bunch of different states right today. I don't need it.
Why don't you do it?
Scares them.
Why don't you do it if you can?
I make more money this way.
That's
You
the
make
bottom
more
line.
money.
It's too lazy.
You make more money. Here's that. You make more money as a con man is what you're saying.
He's a
You're a
con
con
man.
man, right?
He is too. Yesterday
Boy.
I saw an accident on the corner of 42nd and 7th Avenue. Before the people even got out of their car, there was about 3 lawyers standing by the window with papers in their hands. That's true.
That's too bad. That's too bad you weren't underneath the car. Now, look, Mort, I support this proposal about redistribution of these people. New York, under the Koch administration, has become a cesspool for the country. He has allowed every vagrant, bum, vagabond, thief, and criminal to come into New York.
I'm not concerned about the vagrants and the vagabonds, all right? I'm concerned about the thieves and the criminals.
Mort, there was a program during the Depression similar to what the fellow was talking about, where they took people out into the woods, the Appalachians. They employed them in useful work, mostly young men like this. You know, had them cutting down trees, had them building camp things. I think we could do a program like that. I think it would be very
welfare there.
It'd be a useful
I
program.
agree. Wait a second. No, wait a second, attorney.
These guys are on a
You
form
say it's another form of welfare,
Exactly.
he said.
This is their own
It's not a
private
form
welfare.
of welfare if they're doing something, all right?
But the CCC, they didn't do a whole heck of a lot.
Well, that's the fault of the government and the administrators.
You could put all the money into any program you want, and I think we'd see hell free to before we see these two guys put in honest
I
day's
do
work.
too. I think their ass ought to be booted right out.
I think
all right? But I think she has some validity. I think a lot of people who are homeless, who are legitimately homeless on the streets and getting their ass kicked because we got an administration here, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, wherever you have beggars, wherever you have homeless, wherever you have that going on, you got administrations that waste the taxpayers' money
I
because
agree.
we pay it to them.
I'd be glad to see my money
$4,800 bucks a year should go to the homeless to rebuild those vacant housing, those abandoned homes. Let them live there.
Instead of bombers. I agree,
Damn right.
100%.
How about you, pal? Let me talk to this gentleman. James. That's your name, James, right?
Yeah.
James, what are you, homeless, a beggar? What are you?
Well, I live in Fort Washington, in the
Fort
shelter uptown.
Shelter. You live in the shelter?
Yeah. And when I go down to the agency in the morning and I can't get a job, then this is what I'll do.
Okay, you do go down and try and get a job.
Yeah,
You'd rather have a job.
yeah.
You ever get one?
Sometimes.
How often?
Well, it's like the agency sends you to some place and sometimes you get a job, sometimes you don't.
What kind of a job they give you?
Well, I work the grill.
So you don't care what kind of job it is?
No, cause I do laborer's work
Okay, how much money do you make on a job a day?
most of the time. $55 to $63 a year. I mean a week.
A week.
I mean a day.
A day? All right, okay. How about when you're panhandling?
Huh?
How much do you panhandling?
I make what I need. That's all.
So you could make as much as you wanted.
Yeah. I
Can
could
you make $200 a day if you wanted to?
if I wanted to.
Have you ever been arrested for it? For panhandling?
Only 24 times in the last 2 years. I can't understand. I'm gonna tell you something.
Do you see the hypocrisy? You see the hypocrisy of how they use our money? Getting the hypocrisy? I mean, this guy's going to go back panhandling.
I can't understand why they arrest me, right? And I'm over there wiping car windows, and these guys right across the street here are selling crack.
Because it's
and
extortion.
They just let them go.
It's extortion. We don't want our windows washed. We want to drive through the
So
city.
why do
with
you
that
let those people go? Why do you arrest me?
I don't arrest you. Let's arrest them both.
Did you ever wash windows?
No.
You just panhandled.
Correct.
You didn't
An
even
honest
make an
request
attempt
for
of
him.
looking like you were working.
No, I didn't. I was honest about it.
Honest. He was honest.
Be a lawyer then. How do you get to be a lawyer?
Because he's just as lazy as was when he was a panhandler. 24 times.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why they arrest these. And you're a window washer.
Yeah.
You cause accidents.
I cause accidents. How? People. How? Tell me how I cause an accident. Tell me how I cause an accident. How do I cause an accident? When?
You prey on the elderly. You prey on single women in cars. You put dirty water and spit on their window, and then you make them pay to get it off. And you know what they do? When they say you by the light, they go through the light. I've personally witnessed dozens of accidents because of people like you on the street
Yeah,
corner.
amazing. I drive as much as this guy. I've never seen one because of that. Never one. And I go through the tunnel 2 times a day. It's amazing. Where the hell do you hang out? At the demolition derby? Hey, next, we'll look at Mayor Koch's new policy. Give your money to organizations, but don't give a dime to the beggars. Come on. Boils down to, you're a con man, you're a thief, and you're a lazy...
I'm rich.
Huh? You're rich. You're rich with other people's money because they feel sorry for a walking... We'll be back in just a second with the audience. Let's see what they say. Come on. Any of you folks have any questions, you go to it. Starting right there, sir.
I got a question for one of these two guys. A couple years ago, I was in the city, worked my butt off all day, was coming back, and a guy asked me for money, go into my pocket, take out about 50 cents. He looked at it and he says, it's not enough. I need at least $1. Like it was not good enough for him. Now, you know, what do you want? At least $5, $6 every time?
I don't complain about what people give me. What they, you know, what they give is...
Yeah, but like my money
penny.
wasn't good enough. I mean,
Huh?
you know, 35 cents is not enough. You want at least a meal.
This guy's got a set gimmick, though.
Well, you know, but
I mean,
there's different situations. In the Newark train station one day, I was catching a train, and a guy walked up to me. I was staying at the window, a la these guys, buying a ticket. Had to wait because I was trying to get a reservation, and they had to find out if there were any seats empty as it left New York. Guy walks up, he says, hey, I watch your show all the time, man. Love your show. You got a cup of coffee? I says, I don't have any change. And I pulled out, and I had a $20 bill. So I said, yeah, I said, I'll tell you what. I really wanted to see something. I said, here's the 20, get me a cup of coffee, too.
And he came back.
15 minutes later, he was back with 2 cups of coffee and my change. And you're right. There's some of the scam artists like these guys. I was in Vegas years ago. Years ago, I'm a kid. I'm down to 30 cents, 3 dimes. I'm in the bathroom, all right? I'm in the bathroom, I wash my hands, Mr. Jerkhead. You know, the guy gives me a towel, I wash the towel. I reach in, I pull out the 3 dimes. The guy throws them in my face. I decked him, all right? I went through his pockets and got 14 silver dollars. I went out on the tables and I won 800. All right. Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. That's not the right way to do it. But there are people like you say, and people indeed like that fellow who bought the money back. Ma'am.
How much money do you have in your wallet right now? And where do you get it from? And pull it. Stop being a bunch of hypocrites and show us right now. Where do you get it from and why do you have it? Why are you taking from the people who need it the most? Why are you doing it?
Don't have any money on me right now.
I mean, you claim you make so much money a day.
$3 on me right now.
You claim you make so much money a day. You have in a bank account or something?
Paid for $475 for a week.
You don't need it. You don't need it. Get a real job. Be a man and get a real job.
Oh, you never. We'll be back in just a second. Come on. Yeah. Let me go right to the folks at Loudmouth. Go ahead, pal.
Okay, you two guys are dirtbags, and now that you're on national television and you expose yourself to the world for what kind of scum you really are, now I hope you don't get a dime, baby.
Hey, I was on the news. I was on the Channel 2 News and Channel 5 News in New York City, and I still make what I make.
You won't recognize me in an hour, so don't even worry about it.
All the supermarkets, all the supermarkets are
He's
hiring.
pulling prophylactic over his head and going as a...
All the supermarkets are hiring $5, $6 an hour. Get a damn job.
Don't listen to him, man. Get a job. Get a job. You can get a job. You're a healthy young man. He's got a problem, man. He's got a problem. Go ahead,
I
pal.
got respect for him as much as a used car salesman. Both of you.
Go ahead, pal.
All right, from Michelle, here you
I ain't
go.
out to please nobody but myself.
That's right.
The three of you should go into practice together. Get him out of here.
All right.
Boy, very simple, very quick. Instead of putting low-cost housing into the middle-class neighborhoods like mine in Yonkers, New York, rebuild the dumps that you people destroyed and let you burn it down again. Just next time you live in the street and you can die the next time.
That's right.
Very simple.
Why don't people like
These
this?
two guys,
Give it to
these two
him.
guys.
Tell you something.
You know, this lawyer, this guy is terrible. These two guys, you know, I can understand him passing him. But when they pass her up on the street, he doesn't give her a dime. You're as low as those two guys.
There you go. I'll tell you, gang. I think we've learned, one thing tonight. Panhandlers and street people are just like the rest of us. Some are decent, well-meaning people. Some aren't. But it's important we hear that they have to say. Because in our fragile society, it's a very fine line between prosperity and poverty. And any one of us could fall across it with one good divorce or being put out of work. These guys, they're phonies. That lady's fine. That gentleman's fine. We'll give to them, and this audience is America.